Happy Friday morning, August 16th. We got Dave Cokin, Bryan Leonard. I am Drew Martin. We're breaking down the full Friday MLB card from a betting perspective. Dave Cokin, happy Friday to you. Welcome into the show, buddy.
8 days left till college football starts. I'm excited. I've played 6 games already. I've only posted, I think, a couple at Wager Talk, but I'll have the others up in the next few days. And that's my volume sport. That's the sport where I'll go out there with 8 to 10 games on a weekend on a regular basis, and pretty confident. Last 2 years have been sensational, and hoping to do it again.
Yeah, we got Miami versus Florida in the Citrus Bowl, Orlando, Florida, next Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern kickoff. It's going to be a lot of fun. That kicks it off. Hawaii, Arizona, the nightcap Saturday night. So good stuff. Check out Dave Cokin's college football on Wager Talk. Last 2 years, I believe he's top performer, and it shows no signs of slowing down, right, Dave?
I certainly hope not.
So check that out at wagertalk.com. Also at wagertalk.com, Bryan Leonard, Mr. Baseball for a few years running now, and also college football aficionado and NFL as well as many other sports. Bryan, welcome in. Happy Friday morning to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And the funny thing is, I started handicapping hockey when Vegas got a team. I'm a season ticket holder. I've done better in hockey than I have in these things I've followed my entire life. So I guess you walk into it without knowing anything. You don't have all those prejudices, and it's worked out well for me.
I understand that, Bryan. I'll tell you, I came into this like in, MLB in college football, what, about 6 years ago now, since I gave up my straight job. And I'll tell you, college basketball, a sport I very rarely bet before then, is by far my best sport. It's weird how that works.
It is.
All right, guys, we got a full show. We're going to break it down, go through the card quickly, but hopefully in depth more times than not. We got 9-5-1, 9-5-2 at the top of the card in the National League. Milwaukee versus Washington, Hauser versus Corbin. Corbin coming from the left side, commanding about a minus 150 price tag here. Total of 9, Dave. You interested in getting involved in the Brewers and Nationals?
Yeah, the price is tempting. Hauser was really good in his last start, and he's got some ability, some decent young talent there. But Corbin's been fantastic at home for the Nationals, and I thought this price would be more in the 170 range, to be honest with you. So I can't argue with anybody who's looking at the Nationals and saying, yeah, there's some decent value there at roughly 150.
Okay, towards the home team. And Bryan, what about you? Interested in getting involved?
Yeah, Hauser, 21-3 strikeout to walk ratio his last 3 starts, so he's been pitching very well. Dave hit it on Corbin. I went back and looked. He's only had 1 start at home all season long in which he had a game score of less than league average. He's just been tremendous at home. You mentioned the left-hander. The Brewers have a losing record against lefties, 19-20, but still haven't hit lefties terrific this year. I'm either on Washington or the under here. I haven't decided on which one I'll pick, but I'll be on this game somehow.
All right, another 7:05 Eastern first pitch, San Diego versus Philadelphia. This one in Philadelphia. Chris Paddock on the hill for the Pods. Looks like Vince Velasquez on the hill for the Phillies. Minus 115-ish, the Phillies at home. Total of 9 here. And I'll tell you, the Phillies last night, man, had some fireworks. That was a heck of a home run to end it. One of the, biggest home runs of the season, you could call it, especially if Philadelphia goes on a run. But Dave, I'll go to you first, man. I like Chris Paddock. I'm looking to bet on him more so than fade him. Haven't bet it yet, but at a plus price, I'm looking towards the Pods. What are you thinking here?
I want to see what the Padres lineup looks like. Tatis,
good point,
a little dinged up, and I don't think there's any reason for the Padres to kind of rush him back. I mean, what's the point? Yeah, I mean, they're done for the season. He's played a lot of baseball. I don't know if they're going to put him on the IL or not, but I mean, the only reason to me to have him out there every game the rest of the way is if you're trying to win him Rookie of the Year, which he has which he's not going to win anyway. You could argue that he might deserve it, but Alonso's going to win the Rookie of the Year. Okay, he's a much bigger market, much more attention, and the home runs are very eye-catching. Phillies have to guard against being a little flat tonight after an enormous comeback last night, which I'll talk about when we get to the next game. It's a comeback that never should have happened. And I like Paddock against Velasquez. So, I mean, you can make a case that the line where it's gone now maybe offers a little value on the Padres, but Padres just not playing real inspired baseball right now, and I don't know about them going on the road on an East Coast swing. I think I'd be looking probably to fade the Padres more than play on them. So I won't do that in spots where I don't think there's reasonable value, but I don't think I'm going to be playing the Padres on this East Coast swing.
Brian, what are you thinking here, man?
Yeah, Velasquez is pitching pretty well right now, but it's interesting. He's got a decent 4.30 ERA, not one of the greatest, but not terrible. But he's given up 20 home runs in 83.2 innings. It's rare that you see that many home runs given up with a low ERA like that. But he's pitching in a good hitter's park. I hate to lay a favorite price on a guy that gives up a lot of home runs. So I'll probably be sitting this one out.
All right, guys, good stuff so far. And we got the game that Dave was alluding to, the Chicago Cubs with a tough one against the Phillies last night. And they are on the road tonight. That's what makes it a full Friday MLB card. 4 first pitch hitting all the night games. They're not at home at Wrigley with the day game at Pittsburgh. Musgrove on the hill for the Pirates. Total of 9, minus 140-ish range here. The Cubs favored on the road. Dave, have at it, man.
Well, I had the Cubs last night. 5-0 lead after 7 innings. Yu Darvish is sailing along at 92 pitches. 92 pitches. And Madden pinch hits for him in the top of the 8th. And I started tweeting right away. It's like, what are you doing? I think my words were, I totally disagree with this decision. Guy's in complete command. He's got a shutout going. And you're up 5-0. I mean, there's just no reason to take him out. Unless Darvish asked out of the game, and you just don't see pitchers ask out of games with shutouts going after 7 innings. And then the Cubs bullpen, which sucks anyway, comes in and blows the game. Terrible loss for the Cubs. It was my worst loss of the season, by far my worst loss of the season, because there's just no way this game should have lost. And it's on Joe Madden, who has a tendency to read his own press clippings too often. I don't think he's nearly the manager he was when they won the World Series. I think he's gotten caught up in being the genius, the rocket scientist, think outside the box Joe. And he cost his team a win last night. And what the fuck, man? Are you kidding? Derek Holland? I don't care if it's a lefty-lefty matchup or not. Bringing Derek Holland shouldn't even be in the major leagues at this point. I mean, bringing him in to face Bryce Harper. I knew Harper was going to get him. And he did. Grand slam, see you later. Hendricks was terrible in his last start. Could not command any of his stuff and got lit up. Pirates are an awful baseball team. But I tell you what, I don't want the Cubs coming out of that game last night. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pirates win this.
Dave, I agree with you with Joe Madden, man. I've been all over him. I think he's been overrated even when you talked about the World Series stuff. Some of the moves that he does, I think kind of analytics guys kind of cook the books almost on some of those moves that he does. I just think he's overrated overall. Brian, any opinion here on Madden? And also, what are you thinking for the Cubs and the Pirates tonight?
Yeah, he does make some unorthodox moves, but for his career, they've worked out more times than not. So it's tough to say much about him. I think the Pirates are a live dog here. Dave pointed out that was a tough way to lose last night, and we've looked at how many series in a row have the Cubs lost on the road. It's been a long time since they've won a series on the season. They're 23-38 on the road. We've got the Pirates. Musgrove, he's got a lot more talent than what he's shown, but go back and look at his last 5 starts against the Cubs. Very consistent. His average game score is 63. He's got a 1.23 ERA against the Cubs. Every game he's played in his last 5 has been 60 or better from a game score. So it's one team that he seems to match up very well against. I don't like to go against Hendricks after just a horrendous start his last time out because he was very consistent before that. So I'll either end up on I'll end up on the Pirates or maybe end up on the under in this game. Haven't decided, but I don't think either one's a bad bet.
Yeah, good point on Musgrove. Sometimes he does show flashes of, being a pretty top-line pitcher here in the major leagues. We got St. Louis Cardinals versus the Cincinnati Reds up next. Wainwright versus my boy Luis Castillo. If you've been betting him, especially at night, he's a day-night splits guy, has much better numbers at night. He's going to be pitching at night in the Queen City, minus 140-ish range here. Total of 9. Dave, you want to start us off again here with the fight of what? The Redbirds?
Nothing much here. I think, look, Castillo's solid performances are in the price. And he, the Reds clearly deserve to be favored in this game because Castillo has much better numbers than Wainwright, and Wainwright on the road has been sketchy. But the Reds lineup is just not very good right now, and I don't trust the team. That's about what it comes down to. So on paper, you can make a case for Castillo, but the market's going the other way, and I think the market's going the other way based on the price being too high.
And Brian, what are you thinking here, man?
You mentioned day-night numbers. Back when I was single, I had much more success at night than I had during the day. I had great success at night in a dark alley. That worked out pretty well for me. The daytime dates didn't go so well. I have no idea. But anyway, in this one, you're right about Castillo. Castillo's priced into the market. Just go back your last 5 starts for each one of these starters. 1.55 ERA, last 5 against St. Louis for Castillo. Adam Wainwright, his last 5 starts against Cincinnati, ERA of 10.80. ERA is an outdated stat, but still, when you see a 1.55 against a 10.80, you've got to mention it. I like Cincinnati, but the line is too high, and that's been the problem with Cincinnati, is when they've got a pitching advantage, they're overpriced. So I'm not sure I'm going to get there with them tonight.
All right. And Brian, hey, just real quickly, where can the people follow you on Twitter?
Twitter at @BLeonardSports. I do a lot of retweets. I don't have time to do a lot of my own stuff. So if somebody puts something out, whether it be a competitor or anything, if it's going to make us money, I like to retweet it. So if I follow a lot of people that I respect, including you guys, so if one of you ever sends something that I think is really good, I try to retweet it. So I get a lot of good information out there, even though a lot of times I'm not the originator on it because I don't have the time to do the research. But I learn a lot from the guys I follow on Twitter.
And what about at the site, at wagertalk.com? You got college football, NFL ready to rock?
Yeah, we've actually got, I did a video I'm going to be doing similar to what Cheetah did when Cheetah was with us, where he put out a lot of early games based on the early lines. Since I do my own power ratings and I do have some accounts that can take that kind of thing, there won't be write-ups for it because you just might not have the time. But I will let you know what I played, and if I'm playing it, we're putting ourselves in a position where we get the best number. And later on in the week, if we decide we don't want it, we can always buy back the other way and try for a middle. But it's worked out pretty well on my own in the past. And since we have nobody else doing that right now on the site, that's what I'm going to include in my my package. And I believe there's a discount code right now, BL30, I believe is what it is, 30% off my season package in football this season.
All right, BL30 at wagertalk.com. And Dave, on Twitter, Dave's a great follow on Twitter as well. Where can the people find you on Twitter, Dave?
At Dave Cokin.
At Dave Cokin, as easy as that. And he's got his college football up at Wager Talk. Also, NFL preseason free play. So check that out at wagertalk.com on Dave's handicapper page. At Dave Cokin on Twitter. We got the Dodgers and Braves possible playoff matchup up next. Medea versus Soroka. Total of 10 here, minus 120-ish. The Braves in SunTrust Park. Dave, how you looking to bet the Dodgers and Braves Friday night?
I think this is the most likely NLCS matchup. So this, in a sense, will be a series that I think both teams are going to be really interested in. The Dodgers have no reason to play a lot of games down the stretch and might do some resting players and coasting. But I think they'll be up for this series. And the Braves, obviously, same thing. Maeda really good last time out. Bounced back from a couple of bad efforts, one that was really bad. And he threw a gem last time out. Soroka has just been dynamite all year for the Braves. Markets on the Braves. Dodgers as a dog are tempting. Just because the Dodgers, I mean, just a plus sign next to the Dodgers is something you're rarely going to see. And I would assume this will be the only time you'll see it in this series. I would think the Dodgers might be favored the next couple of games. But I don't really have any interest in playing the game. It's actually the game I want to watch the most. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do that because the Dodgers are blacked out here. But so I guess I'll watch football instead.
Even road games on the East Coast, they're blacked out?
Yep.
That's kind of ridiculous.
Well, until a few years ago, we were the minor league team, AAA minor league team of the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Well, they're on the road here in SunTrust Park. You know, a lot of the things that Dave pointed out, plus the fact, you know, Atlanta's bullpen more so kind of shaky. It is a total of 10 double digits in the National League. Always a little, you know, pump the brakes. But I am kind of leaning to the over here, Brian. You got any opinion?
Yeah, the only thing I have to add is I like Dave's spot about taking plus money with the Dodgers. You rarely see it. And the Dodgers are such a home run hitting team. The thing is, Mike Soroka doesn't give up home runs. He's pitched 153.2 innings in the majors, or 153.2. He's only given up 8 home runs. So this is a guy who doesn't give up the long ball, and you got a Dodgers team who plays for the long ball. They're similar out of ways to an American League team from, you know, they used to be in the old days. You bunt the runners over the National League, you steal bases, that kind of thing. The Dodgers are like a Yankees or a Baltimore Orioles under the old coach there. But when you're not going to hit home runs against Atlanta and Soroka, that's a concern when you're playing the over.
Absolutely. Next game up, 8:40 Eastern first pitch. Miami Marlins, Colorado Rockies in Coors Field, Mile High here. We got Sandy Alcantara versus John Gray. John Gray now commanding minus 230 favorite price tag here at home. Heavy movement here towards the Rockies. 12.5 being the total, Dave. And I'll tell you, I believe it's Alcantara's first time in Coors Market, feeding off of that, fueling the Rockies here up to minus 230. What's your opinion here with the Fish and Rocks?
I didn't even look at the game, to be honest with you. It's a garbage game. Two teams playing out the string. No interest in the Marlins, who don't profile as a team that will play well at Coors because it's a hitter's ballpark and they can't hit. and I'm not laying $2 with the Rockies against anybody. I don't think I'd lay I don't think I'd lay this price with the Rockies against their own AAA team.
Brian, we got the battle for the expansion 1993 teams. What are you thinking with the Marlins and Rockies?
Yeah, I don't like to go against line moves of this magnitude because it's definitely coming on the Rockies. I'm assuming the reason why is because Colorado had yesterday off. Miami has to travel from Miami to Colorado.
That's true.
Alcantara, you know, you take a look at his last 7 starts. The least amount of pitches he's thrown is 96, all the way up to 100, 108. So he's been putting up a lot of pitches and playing in this ballpark. You would figure that the whole pitching staff will be putting up more pitches than what they normally do. I can't lay this number with Colorado, but to me, it's an outrageous number. But I don't think I have the balls to come in and play Miami here.
No, it's a good breakdown. I agree with you, and yeah, Alcantara, not a pitcher I'm really looking to bet on now. We saw, you know, flashes of him being a really solid pitcher. Heck, he got an all-star invitation, but since then has really dropped off. You don't think he was an all-star, do you, Dave?
No, of course not. They had to take somebody. They had to take somebody from every team, and so it would have been Caleb Smith, but he got hurt and missed a bunch of starts. So they gave it to Alcantara. I mean, the All-Star game's a joke anyway.
Yeah, I still think it should matter.
He's no All-Star, okay?
It's the only All-Star game in any major sport that is a true All-Star game where teams try.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's
much better than the NBA, Jesus.
Yeah, the game itself is pretty good. But, I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched, I guess it's pretty good. I haven't watched an All-Star game probably in 20 years.
You don't bet on the Home Run Derby?
I watched the Home Run Derby. I like the Home Run Derby. That's fun. It's a great format.
Oh, yeah.
But on Tuesday, the All-Star game, I'm out. No, not interested.
Oh, man. I actually like it. I think it's the best All-Star game in sports. That's not really saying much. I know that.
I don't watch any of them. I don't watch any of the All-Star games.
This is the only one I ever watch.
It's a day off for me. I'm in. You know, look, that's that is the week I am not around. I'm usually at Del Mar or in Southern California, and I'm not watching any sports, okay?
Dave, is Del Mar running right now? You a big horse guy?
I think they're still running. I believe. I think they run until Labor Day. I'm not sure.
Okay, but you usually go ahead, Brian.
I'm not a big horse racing guy. I know Marco owns horses, and Mark Lawrence, one of our friends in the business, owns horses. But since it does go over the All-Star break, one of these years we need to get a bunch of guys and just take a weekend trip to San Diego, or a week trip to San Diego for that. It's a great city anyway, and it'd be a lot of fun to hang out with the guys for a few days.
The thing is, now you got that, what is it, Airbnb or whatever it's called, where you can rent these houses, and they're really nice houses.
Yeah.
And they're not that expensive. It's a great deal. I still went the hotel route this year, but I think next year, whoever I go with, she and I will be renting a house for a week.
You have choices in the female department?
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about young. We're not talking about young and gorgeous anymore. But
hey, none of us are. So what the hell?
My wheelhouse has changed a bit.
My wheelhouse as long as they have wheels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Good stuff, man. We're about halfway through here on the MLB card for Friday night. We got 963, 964. Tough segue here. San Francisco, Arizona Diamondbacks leak versus Samardzija. We got Notre Dame alum versus Arizona State here. Talking about college football. 9.5 being the total, Dave. About -135 to -140. D-backs laying at home, man.
The line move on this game is curious to me. I thought the opening number was better than what the number is now. It's about where I made the number. It was about 115. And, the Diamondbacks are not very good. They've managed to hang around 500 for the season. I think Torey Lovello's done a nice job. I think the team plays hard. But I don't know if they're particularly talented. And the Giants just keep winning games. I mean, they just won't go away. Samardzija's been really good lately. It's not really, when the roof's closed, I assume it will be. I don't know if the roof's going to be open or closed tonight. Something to check out. I'm assuming it'll be closed because it's still pretty hot down there. But that's not a great home run park when the roof's closed. It is when it's open. Ball really carries when it's open. But to me, plus 125 of the Giants is getting me interested.
And
Brian, what are you thinking here in the NL West matchup?
Yeah, I'm with Dave here. Samardzija's last 7 starts, 1.90 ERA, 64 average game score. Interesting about Mike Leake, since the trade, he's really done nothing. His game scores have been 35, 38, and 15. Mike Leake on the season has pitched 147 innings. He's given up 31 home runs. Even the last couple of years when the ball wasn't juiced, he gave up 23 and 20. So he's a guy that is prone to the long ball. And San Francisco's not a big home run hitting team. But it's tough to back a guy when he gives up so many home runs, as I mentioned earlier. May end up on the Giants here. That's one of the games I'm deciding on right now.
And Dave, quick handicapping question for you. I know you deal with the roof open and closed lot in your handicapping in baseball. Is it the same for every park? And what exactly is the difference between the roofs being open and closed?
Well, I guess it varies from park to park, but Arizona's there's definitely been a difference over the years. The ball just does not. It just carries like crazy when the roof's open there.
But it wouldn't necessarily translate exactly to Miami or the other, or Toronto when it's open and closed.
No, not at least not as far as I can tell.
Yeah, it depends on the air conditioning system inside. Usually, if it's closed, you see more home runs because the air conditioning for most parks are blowing from home plate out. But
okay.
Every park is different.
Interesting. Okay. And they can also do different things now. Some of these new ballparks, it's like a wall almost that they can open and close back there, plus the roof. So there's almost 2 different things you gotta kind of have to calculate into your handicap. We got Cleveland.
But just to be clear, I really don't spend any time on that at all. I just know that in Arizona the ball carries better when the roof's open.
Okay. All right. Thanks for clarifying that, Dave. And we got Cleveland, New York Yankees up next. Tanaka on the hill for the Yanks at home in New York. We got -140 to -150, actually. Some opinion here in the marketplace. 10.5 the total. Dave, any opinion here?
No, I think this is priced about right. Tanaka seems to have figured out. They've really been working on his mechanics, and it finally came to fruition last time out. He was terrific, and he can string together some good starts. Savali's a guy who's out pitching his profile right now. First time around the league, looks like he's having some success. I'm not sure that's going to be maintained. They did embarrass the Yankees last night. Not sure I want to face. Not sure I want to go against the Yankees off that kind of a loss. But look, there's just not enough value in the price for me to really consider. I think about $1.50 is about the right price here.
Okay, and Brian, what are you thinking, man?
Being an Indians fan and always growing up hating the Yankees and all the money they had, my wife and I just loved that game last night. That was the best dinner we ever had, and I don't even remember what the hell we ate. Cavalli's one of these guys that, and we've talked about this for a few of these pitchers out of Cleveland. They're not high thought of pitchers, but he's been pitching with a lot of poise. Well, it also helps to have a lot of poise when you've gone 18 innings and 3 starts and haven't given up a home run yet. So he hasn't put himself in a position to question himself, and he's been ahead of the count. And that's something that works out really well. Problem is, he's going in here at Yankee Stadium, which any fly ball with any power whatsoever is getting the hell out of here. And being that he's a righty, they're going to be batting a lot of lefties against him in that short park. I could see a lot more runs being scored tonight. It's similar to yesterday. Tanaka's really, you go back his last 5 starts against Cleveland, his average game score is 46. He's not as good as he's been. This goes all the way back to 2014. As good as he's been, Cleveland's hit him pretty well. It's not as extreme as the Chris Sale situation, where the Indians would just hit Chris Sale like crazy, even when he was with the White Sox. It wouldn't surprise me if we get an over here. I'm going to do a little bit more work on it, but it makes a lot of sense to me.
Bringing up the White Sox, did you guys hear that Bill Walton called the game last night for the White Sox?
I read something about that, but I didn't.
There was a tweet about that earlier in the week. Somebody put it up, and I said, yeah, just as if we need another reason not to watch the White Sox.
I thought it'd be interesting to watch it for an inning or two, but I'm with you.
I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be interested in the whole game, most likely. But we got Seattle, Toronto up next. I'm interested in the over here, Dave. Total of 10. Toronto, as we know, kind of surprising with their bats sometimes. Seattle defense not very good, and at times can hit the ball as well. Minus 130, Toronto, north of the border. Any interest in this game?
I just noticed that Whistler has been named as the opener or starter for Seattle. No, I have no interest in the game, none at all.
Yeah, it just came up for myself also, so I haven't prepared for this one, so I'll pass on this for now.
All right, we got AL East matchup, Baltimore at Boston, Brooks versus Porcello. Man, Rick Porcello commanding minus 270-ish price tag, 11.5 the total. Dave, what are you thinking here, man?
The Red Sox should win the game, and that's it.
And Brian?
Wait. No.
I'm not betting on the Red Sox as a favorite. And
no, neither am I.
I don't want anything to do here with Baltimore, and you got to either take a look at an over or a pass in this situation. Baltimore's bats have been doing decently well against the Yankees. They hit the ball decently well, but no, I don't want any part of this one.
We got another minus 300-ish game here with Morton versus Norris, talking the Detroit Tigers at the Tampa Bay Rays. Minus 300 price tag on the Rays. 7.5 or 8, depending where you're shopping on the total. I like the Rays here, Dave, but not interested in minus 300.
Same.
Agree.
All right, guys, making some time here. Minnesota, Texas, Odorizzi versus Minor. Minor coming from the left side. Minus 110 favorites here at home. Pretty much a pick-em price almost. Total of 10. Dave, any interest in this AL matchup?
Probably not going to play it. Minor looks like he's back in form again. It appeared that he might have hit a wall, but he's back in form. He was brilliant last time out. I think the Twins are going to get hot again. It's just I think the bad times for the Twins are done, and I think they're going to play well down the stretch. I'm going to look for spots to play on Minnesota. This isn't one of them, though.
Okay, and Brian, what are you thinking here in Texas?
Yeah, I agree with Dave. Cruz is supposed to be back later in the week, and he's really the the most professional hitter they have. He's one of those guys we used to cheer for back in the 70s and 80s that didn't strike out a lot, had a good average and big power numbers. He rarely takes a bad swing, and that really sets them up really well. Mike Minor being a lefty, as you pointed out, the Twins were only 14-14 on the season versus lefties. Minor's pitching very well. He only had the one start last year against Minnesota, but he was very good in that one. Hasn't pitched against them this year, and considering the season he's having with a 2.90 ERA, he may get the better of the Twins here a little bit because I haven't seen them. But this probably isn't going to make my card.
All right, we got two get-back games here, 10 o'clock Eastern, first pitches on the West Coast here. Houston at Oakland, Verlander versus Rourke, total of 9 here, minus 170 to minus 180, Houston commanding price on the road. Dave, I believe yesterday's game was 7-6. Not terribly high scoring. However, I believe there was 8 or 9 home runs, something crazy like that. A lot of solo shots.
10.
Yep.
10 home runs. That's crazy, man. What are you thinking for Houston, Oakland?
Rourke, actually, this looks like a good ballpark for Rourke, and his 2 starts with Oakland so far have been good. Verlander's off by his standards, shaky performance. I can see why there might be some bettors who are going to take a look at Oakland here, just because they're playing really good ball, and they're a gigantic home dog. Don't like going against Verlander off a poor, by his standards, performance, though. He has a tendency to rebound. So I don't think you're going to see anything like last night in terms of home runs and runs scored. Might get a pitcher's duel here.
I like it, Dave. I agree with you. What are you thinking, Brian?
I'm not going to discount the home runs because Verlander's given those up, and plenty of those this year, 29 home runs. 29 home runs in 162 innings, and he still has a 2.82 ERA. Pretty amazing. The last 7 starts for Verlander, 70 strikeouts, 8 walks. Even in the last game, as Dave pointed out, he only had that 43-game score against Baltimore, but he had 11 strikeouts and 1 walk. He's just been tremendous. You go back his last 5 starts, he's had 10 or more strikeouts in each one. So that's something, if you like to play strikeouts, you may want to take a look at that. Although Oakland, with a lot of foul territory, you may not get as many chances to, with all the foul territory, maybe some foul outs, cut down on the strikeouts. But Houston's lost 4 of the last 5, and the White Sox took it to them. So Houston, similar to the Dodgers, right now they've got a loaded team and a lot of depth, but they got plenty of time to rest a lot of guys, so you never know what the lineup is until you take a good look at that right before the game starts.
Yeah, and good point there with Houston not really playing their best ball. I want to throw something out to you guys that I did personally in this game. I did take Oakland a big plus price here, mainly because of what Dave said. Rourke, it profiles well into this ballpark at night. A lot of room for those fly balls to drop. And the fact, I want to just throw this out there, guys, and feel free to poke holes in it. Oakland A's, I bet them on action. So therefore, just because it's a big plus price, if Verlander goes out, I actually think it helps. Whereas if Rourke goes out, it doesn't hurt as much. I usually do listed, but in big plus prices like this, fading the other team that has kind of an advantage perceived on the hill, I did do action. You guys think that that's the right bet?
No, I mean, both guys are going to start, so
okay.
I don't know. It's not something I've ever really given much thought to. The only time I play action is if I think a team's going with an opener. So unless
the Angels are playing.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, unless Verlander or Rourke comes down with the flu, they're both starting.
Yeah, I've always listed pitchers until this year, and then maybe a Seattle or a Tampa or definitely the Angels. When they can't make up their mind who the starter is, that's the only time I'll use action. But if you're handicapping a game based on the starters, and your whole handicap is based on that, well, at least the majority of it, you want to list pitchers. So I've never thought of it that way, but I've got no problems with it.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you for the most part, but this is the one time where I think it can be to your advantage over the odds makers. I don't know, just thought I'd throw it out there. We'll see how it goes. Short sample size so far. It kind of started since the All-Star break, but we got the Chicago White Sox at the LA Angels up next. Minus 110-ish here. The Angels at home. 8.5 the total, Dave.
Yeah, Sandoval has control issues, and I don't like backing pitchers with control issues. he's got decent stuff, but got to command the strike zone, buddy. Giolito's got the edge on the pitching, but the White Sox are a terrible baseball team. They have played, shown a little life over this last week, but they're not much of a team. I can't come up with a play here. I think the price is about where it should be.
Ryan, anything else on the last nightcap here before we get to the one interleague game?
I like the White Sox here. The White Sox have just played Oakland and Houston, hung in there pretty well. I believe they were 3-3 in those series, whereas the Angels got Pittsburgh and they got Boston. And we all know, as Dave would know more than anybody, that the Red Sox right now are just playing some terrible ball. So it's not a step up for the White Sox in this series, and they lose last night 8-7. But Sandoval, the lefty, usually, we've talked earlier about lefties that the other team hasn't seen very often. This is a good spot for him. But the White Sox, as bad as they are against righties, they're 23-18 against lefties. And Giolito's one of those guys that, he's been pretty consistent, had a couple bad starts. Minnesota hit him pretty well, and then the Cubs, two really good offenses. The Angels have a good offense, but not nearly as good as it was earlier in the season. I think there's value on playing the dog here.
He's Bryan Leonard at B Leonard Sports. Guys, we got one more game, just one interleague game here. The New York Mets, Kansas City Royals to finish it off. Do want to throw out a promo code for sportsmemo.com. If you use the coupon code FP half, that's FP as in first pitch, FP half, FPHALF, it will give you half off, 50% off any NFL, college football, or the combo of mine for the full season at sportsmemo.com, 50% off FP half for Drew Martin's college football or NFL college football full season. We got BL30 at first pitch for Bryan Leonard, 30% off all of his football packages. That's for both college football and NFL, Brian?
That's correct.
All right, good stuff. And Dave, is there a coupon code you wanted to throw out, man?
No, don't have any.
All right, well, you do have the free play for tonight's slate on the NFL preseason. Check that out at wagertalk.com. We got the Mets and the Kansas City Royals to finish it off here. Looks like the total getting pushed, 9.5 now, minus 170 favorites with Syndergaard on the hill. The Mets on the road at Kansas City, Dave.
You can make a case the scheduling dynamics favor the Royals, but that's the only thing that favors the Royals. I don't want them. The Mets are, they're sizzling. Just continue to play good ball. And Syndergaard over Montgomery is a mismatch. But you're not going to get any bargains on the Mets. If to me, if you want to play the Mets, you might want to find another team to go with them and play a big truck parlay.
All right, maybe work the parlay in the get-back game. Brian, what are you thinking here to finish it off, man?
I could say something I rarely say, and I totally disagree with Dave Cokin. I don't know if it's happened on any of these videos that we have done because Dave's so good at what he does, but I see a lot of value here for the Royals. First off, the Royals had yesterday off, whereas the Mets are coming off. Washington and Atlanta, two huge series for the Mets. Now they're playing at Kansas City. Mike Montgomery, his last two starts, the first two starts since going to Kansas City, he's got a 19-1 strikeout to walk ratio. With the Cubs, he was a long reliever. Didn't really like his role there. Now he's at Kansas City, and I think they have found something in him, which we see a lot of times. Well, we see what Houston has done with the Toronto pitcher Sanchez going over there. I think we're at the beginning stages here of being able to bet on Mike Montgomery. I used to like Montgomery in his younger years, and I think there's some value on them right now. The last two times he's gone out, he's thrown 90 and 100 pitches, so we can go later on in the game here. And when you take a look at the Mets on the season, they've got a losing record against lefties, 13-16. Montgomery's one of those guys that nobody bets on because he doesn't strike out a lot of pitchers. He's got a shady past, but he's one of those guys that keeps you in the game. Syndergaard, from the public perception, big strikeout guy, and they think it's just going to be the Mets going for the playoffs. Kansas City's playing it out. I think there's a lot of value tonight on the Royals. This one will be on my card.
Interesting. Nice take there, Brian. And Dave, anything you want to throw out in conclusion, man?
No, that's about it. I'm probably taking a day off in baseball. I'm continuing to work on a lot of college football. There's information coming out every day, and there's a lot of teams to go through. So, and after last night, to be honest with you, when I lost, this is something I do. When I lose a game like I lost last night, and it was, in my opinion, the worst loss I've had all year, I have a tendency to not want to do it the next day. Just take a little break. I don't want to, this is a rhythm sport. And let's just say that the rhythm didn't work out for me last night. So I'm going to pass the baseball today.
But you did have something happen after you lost that game, right? It was a positive last night for you?
Oh, I got hungry and decided to go out for a burger, and it was one of the local hotels in town. While I was waiting for the burger, I just threw $20 in a machine, and I don't know what I hit, but it gave me $500. So okay.
No, that's not a.
If you go out to gamble in a casino, you got no chance. But at least that's the way. But for me, the occasional $20 bill is occasionally got me a nice little reward. So I took the $500, and unfortunately, I lost more than that in the baseball game. So it was still a losing night.
Yeah, still came back to you. That's it. I like those stories, man. 20 into 500. That's always fun. Grabbing a burger after the game. And we got B Leonard Sports on Twitter. BL30 for 30% off his football packages. Brian, anything you want to throw out in conclusion, man?
No, but I did see on a personal level that you were hosting our live betting show last night, and I'm excited for that. It's a live betting show that we rarely talk about live betting on with the current host. It's fun. It's a lot of fun to be on, but I'd like to get more into the numbers, into the live betting. And if you're hosting, I'm sure we can do a little bit more of that.
All right, yeah, I'll be on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Brian. If I don't know if those nights work for you, man.
Well, right now I'm doing tonight. We're talking about a show on Sports Grid on the internet, and it's Gabe Morency usually is the host, but I saw that you hosted yesterday, and Gabe's more. He's one of these guys that has just been hosting so many shows. He just talks sports on top of his head, and he's great at it.
Yeah.
But I like to talk actionable betting, and I know Dave does too. So this is a show. If you're hosting. We can get some good work done.
All right, good stuff. And especially during football, I know I'll be on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I actually asked for that during football season on purpose because of Maction. It will start then. We'll have the games in plan. So that it could be a lot of fun during the game. And it's 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight Eastern. That's when I'll be doing it. It's actually a 4-hour show. Somebody else will be doing it the first 2 hours. So a lot of fun there, guys. Guys, good show for a Friday. Right through it, all the games. 42 minutes, not bad. Also remember the coupon code BL30, 30% off Bryan Leonard's football packages at Wager Talk, and FP half for half off any football package of mine, Drew Martin at sportsmemo.com. Also check out Wager Talk. Dave Cokin, been great in college football last 2 years, top performer in college football at Wager Talk, and got a free play in NFLX, NFL preseason for tonight. So guys, for Dave and Brian, I am Drew. Thanks for tuning in. Best of luck with your bets. Have a fun, safe weekend.